Welcome back, guys. Well, we talk about investor activity in Southwest Florida on this channel a lot, so I thought it would be a great time to take a stroll through a neighborhood here in Port Charlotte that I think has kind of been decimated by it. It is unbelievable what the prices have surged to in this typically, historically affordable area of Port Charlotte because we saw so much unnecessary investment activity here. It is a perfect example of what it can do to the local market, to your local residents, the effects it can have. So we're walking through an area called Parkside. This is dead set in the middle of Port Charlotte. The homes here, mostly all built in the 60s, maybe 70s. You'll have some 1980s in here. Concrete block, mostly flat roofs, as you can see. And for a long time, this was like your bread and butter first-time home buyer location, retiree, very tight fixed income location. These homes in 2019, and even before that, you could pick these up between 80 and maybe 120,000. Now the asking prices on these are in the 220s, 250. I've seen some for $300,000, which if you watched my other videos, you know, well, new construction's $300,000. Why? How could they ever compete? And some people will say, well, you get city water, city sewer here. You know, people will take a septic tank for a brand new house. That's just how it is. So when the pandemic hit, this was obviously the most affordable area in town, so investors flocked here. They bought every single home they could. Not really even institutional guys, though there was your big players, but just amateur investors came down here, tried to turn every single one of these into a short-term rental at first. And you know what? They did pretty good. They were still picking these up around 150 to 200 as the market was appreciating. They were turning them into Airbnbs and getting $2,500 to $3,000 a month. There was probably 200, maybe 300 of these Airbnbs in the area, and they were killing it. They were packed all the time because out-of-staters had nowhere else to go. Florida was the only state open. And my family used a few of them. My family came down during the chaos and utilized these. And they had said they had trouble booking. And they were not cheap. $200-300 a night for some of these places. So what that did was basically force out all the first-time home buyers, force out all the retirees from being able to purchase here because houses that were 80 to 120,000 shot to 250, 300,000, locked these guys out of the market. This was a heavily renter-based area to begin with because in 2008, you could pick some of these houses up for $25,000. 2012, 2008, I mean, 40K on one of these homes was not unheard of. And honestly, we had a lot of landlords that couldn't lose. It's put people in a weird situation now because they've been down here investing for 10 years and the times have changed. I mean, you came in, you bought a $40,000 house. It really didn't matter what you rented it out for. You got rent over the next 10 years. That's kind of out the window. Now the rental market is absolutely saturated because all of those people have looked to do the same thing you did. There's a lot of competition, and it was not uncommon for people to slap $2,500, $3,000 a month on some of these homes, these 2-bedroom, 2-bath with carports, and get it immediately because there was nothing else available. Everything else was being Airbnb'd. And that has since changed. There's been a big pullback, and as you guys know, the new construction has put a lot of pressure on that. So what was once renting here, I mean, nightly for like $300-400 if you had a pool on one of these things potentially, or even monthly in the $2,500 range, it's getting very, very hard to obtain even $1,500 for these right now. And you guys know why. Because not only is the new construction a better deal, there's new construction that was also used as investment, and that's like $1,600 to $1,800 for 3 bedrooms. So how can this compete? What do these really need to be rented at? You know, we're still trying to find the floor. The rental market's still adjusting here, but the sale market is also doing that as well. You can see we're walking by a couple of these, and there's for sale signs here. There's more than there normally are, but the pricing's insane. So again, if we go by the 1% rule that most investors like to follow, the house should rent for 1% of what you purchased it for. Well, if these rent for $1,200 to $1,500, and even that's getting kind of hard, what are these houses worth to investors? 150? 150? I mean, and to some people, they'll even say, well, that's crazy, because they remember when they were $80,000. But times have changed. That's my thought process here, is they've lost the investment activity here as well, because it's got to be about 150 grand. There's no way. Other than that, it doesn't work. And it's got to be in good condition at 150 grand. You don't want to pick it up for 150 and then have to rehabilitate it and try to rent it out. A lot of these homes were damaged pretty severely from the hurricane. Hurricane Ian, that is, not Milton or Helene. I was very surprised to come through this area. And I mean, some of them still are, you know. You can see there's still boarded up windows. I was very surprised to come through this area after Hurricane Ian and basically find that almost every one of these flat roofs blew off. I was shocked now granted, they were older, they've been here since Charlie. Charlie tore a lot of them off, so it could have been age, but I was really surprised how much damage was in this area. Structurally, the homes, they're block, built like tanks, they were great. But the flat roofs and the rolled roofs had a lot of trouble during the storm. So you have a lot of investors that bought here pretty high. Like I said, it wasn't uncommon for people to pay $300,000 for these places. This is a mix of an X and an AE flood zone, which creates another issue, is that these homes on the high end used to be $1,200 a year to insure. That's out the window, as you guys know. Some of these, the homeowners alone is $4,000. When I was selling these properties back in 2017 at a price tag of about $110,000, that particular property around here, it was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath with a carport. We were going to sell it for $110,000, and it was built before the flood maps were made in the 70s. So obviously these homes aren't built up, and the flood insurance back then on one of them was $3 grand. So I can imagine that's easily much worse now. But the insurance has crushed anybody who did manage to get in as a first-time home buyer, anybody who did manage to get in as a retiree in the frenzy, and also the landlords. It's killing them because the rents are going down while their cost is going through the roof. Now, this particular home I'm walking past, which spurred me to come down here, I did see listed on Facebook Marketplace. It's right there. It's a for sale by owner. That looks like it's a 2-1 with a carport, very standard. Asking $235,000. No photos of the inside, which lead me to believe those are tenants in there. And I get that, you want to respect their privacy, but if it was the owner, they would have shown, you know, interior photos. So you have a home like this in this area, and I have to question who's the market for this house now. Because a first-time home buyer is not going to come in and pay $235,000 for a house that has tenants in it. An investor is not going to do that. Mostly the first-time home buyer won't do it because the carrying cost with a mortgage and the flood insurance and the homeowner's insurance is just going to be too much. Plus, if you spend, like I showed you guys the other day, another 40 grand, which is not chump change, 40, 50 grand, guys. But again, we're talking about debt. Remember that. It's not cash out of their pocket. If you spend another 40 to 50 grand, you can get a brand new house. Now, it may not be in this location. It may not be on city water and sewer, but the proposition there, you're going to swing a little higher if you can, just for the risk and the home insurance premiums. In my opinion, it doesn't make sense to me. So first-time home buyer is not going to buy it. Retirees not going to buy it because they're basically looking at the same thing as the first-time home buyers. Well, I can get a brand new house for a little more money. Also, do I want to take a home that may have tenants in it? I don't know. Investor, are they going to buy it? Probably not at $235 because I just told you that house would need to rent for $2,300 a month according to the 1% rule, and that is not going to happen right now. Brand new constructions, brand new 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,800 square foot house with a two-car garage cannot attain that right now. So how is that asking price reasonable? I know it's elevated. I know people are looking to wheel and deal, but even at $199, it doesn't make sense to me. And this area, unfortunately, is in a bit of a predicament now because it had so much run up in value while also having to deal with Hurricane Ian and also having to deal with new massive insurance premiums on these styles of homes. In addition to that, they did rezone a lot of this area. They rezoned the flood zone recently, and people now have to carry flood insurance that didn't before. So you can see it's escalated quickly here, and this is just my select area of Port Charlotte, guys. A lot of areas up and down the southwest coast and the west coast in general now that are dealing with this. And it really goes to show how investment really hurt the locals and really hurt retirees. And now it's really investors hurting investors, because they're not going to want to step in at these prices and take this off someone else's hands. And the flood insurance on here, guys, could be anywhere between $4,000 and $8,000, and you're not near the water. We are probably 2 to 3 miles from the harbor back here. But if you're in an AE zone and this is built in the 60s and there is no base elevation map for it, you could end up paying basically the highest rate they can give you. On the broader market, still seeing listings increase. The months of inventory is going to be very interesting to get for November and December. I have my suspicions on what it is. It's high for Charlotte County. It's high, but houses still coming on the market. The other end of that, guys, is a lot of money getting flushed into the system right now. You guys know what's going on with the stock market. Look at crypto. It's insane. Just even meme coins, even just meme coins, we have people who are not getting rugged by the Hawk Tuah girl. We have people making $80, $90, $100,000 a trade on some of these things. And I can't tell where they're from. I don't know where this originates. It's a global thing. The market never closes, but that money's going to have to go somewhere. And I am seeing an increase in buyer interest. I won't say necessarily buyer activity right now. It is that time of year, but a lot of, on my end at least, increase in buyer interest. So I think we're going to have a strong sales season, but people are going to want deals, and I think the inventory is going to make it extremely competitive for sellers, as I've mentioned. I believe we're going to have buyers. I don't think the buyers have disappeared. They generally haven't through all of this, but I think it's going to be really cutthroat on the listing side of things if you don't have a very unique, specific property, like something like this area. It's gonna be very tough. You're gonna have to make stuff extremely attractive. Not only, it's the same thing as condos really, guys. These homes are so expensive to insure and to carry that the price has to reflect it, and the rents are not supportive of the asking investment price. So it's gonna be an interesting season. We're getting there, guys. It's coming. It's just around the corner. The listings are still piling up. So it's gonna be a feisty one, and if there are people out here looking to buy, they're gonna wanna be very aggressive. And if you wanna sell, I think you're gonna have to be too. All right, so that's what I got for today, guys. I hope it was a good one. I have not slept in 5 days. My son showed up quite a bit early on us, so I am the proud father of a 5-day-old currently, but he's doing good. Very happy to have him here. So hope it was coherent, because I'm not really there right now. And I just want to say thanks to everybody who keeps tuning in and reaching out and working with me. I appreciate you guys so much. And every day I get to do this is an absolute honor and blessing to be able to talk with you guys and bring this information to you. So we'll catch you on the next one.